Dr. Elias Vance had always been a man of science and reason. For years he had worked for the Galactic Council, a powerful group that governed many planets. But when he uncovered secrets of corruption and danger hidden within the Council, Elias made a choice. He spoke out. He told the truth. That truth cost him everything. Now he lived far from the bright lights of the galaxy's centers, on a small quiet research station on Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons. It was cold and lonely, a place where most people would not think to come. But Elias found peace there. He spent his days repairing old machines and studying the strange ice beneath the surface. He sent messages to Earth warning them of dangers that might come, hoping someone would listen. What Elias did not know was that someone was watching him, someone who had been sent to stop him. Kythera was part of the Obsidian Clade, a group of elite alien warriors known throughout the galaxy. She was trained from birth to be the perfect assassin, silent, fast, and deadly. When the Council ordered her to find and kill Elias Vance, she accepted without question. There was no room for doubt in her mind. Her ship moved like a shadow through space, silent and sleek. When she landed on Ganymede, she disappeared into the thick ice tunnels beneath the surface. She moved carefully, every step measured and precise. Kythera knew Elias was nearby. She could feel it. The research station was old but sturdy. Lights flickered inside, showing signs of life. Elias worked late into the night, surrounded by old machines and glowing screens. He was unaware of the danger closing in. Kythera watched him for hours, hiding behind ice walls and using her advanced sensors to study him. She expected to see fear or weakness, but instead, she saw something strange. A calm strength, a quiet kindness. Elias was fixing an old robot, a small machine designed to explore the moon's surface. His hands were steady, gentle even as he worked. He spoke softly to the robot, as if encouraging it. Then he carefully placed a small patch on the robot's damaged leg. Kythera's curiosity grew. She had never seen a human behave like this before. Most of the galaxy saw humans as unpredictable and dangerous, but Elias, he was different. She stepped closer, careful to stay in the shadows. Suddenly a loud crack echoed through the tunnel. A piece of ice had broken free and was falling toward Elias. Without thinking, Kythera moved fast. She pushed Elias out of the way just in time. The ice crashed behind them, shaking the ground. For a moment they stood in silence. Elias looked at her, wide-eyed, surprised but not afraid. Kythera saw something in his eyes. Trust. She had not expected this. "Who are you?" Elias asked quietly, still catching his breath. Kythera did not answer. Instead, she turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Elias alive. That night, Kythera sat alone in her ship, thinking about what had happened. Her mission was clear: kill Elias Vance. But now she felt doubt for the first time. Was he really the enemy she had been told about? The next day, Elias continued his work, unaware that an assassin was watching him. He sent messages to Earth, warning about the dangers hidden in the Council. He believed that one day someone would listen. Kythera followed him quietly, learning more about his work and his dreams. She saw how he cared for the small creatures that lived in the icy tunnels. She saw how he never gave up, even when the cold and loneliness were hard to bear. Slowly, Kythera began to understand what Elias was fighting for, not just himself, but for all the people who wanted peace and freedom in the galaxy. But Kythera was still an assassin. Her orders were clear. She could not let feelings stop her from completing her mission. That night she prepared to strike. She moved silently through the tunnels, her weapon ready. But when she looked at Elias, sleeping in the small room of the research station, something inside her stopped. He looked peaceful, almost human. Kythera lowered her weapon and stepped back. She did not know what was happening to her. She had never felt this before. The stars outside shone cold and bright, but inside Kythera something new was growing. A small spark of doubt. Or maybe hope. The mission was far from over. But Calthera was beginning to see that the story was not as simple as she had believed. Dr. Elias Vance had always been a man of science and reason. For years he had worked for the Galactic Council, a powerful group that governed many planets. But when he uncovered secrets of corruption and danger hidden within the Council, Elias made a choice. He spoke out, he told the truth. That truth cost him everything. Now he lived far from the bright lights of the galaxy's centers, on a small quiet research station on Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons. It was cold and lonely, a place where most people would not think to come. But Elias found peace there. He spent his days repairing old machines and studying the strange ice beneath the surface. He sent messages to Earth warning them of dangers that might come, hoping someone would listen. What Elias did not know was that someone was watching him, someone who had been sent to stop him. Calthera was part of the Obsidian Clade, a group of elite alien warriors known throughout the galaxy. She was trained from birth to be the perfect assassin, silent, fast, and deadly. When the Council ordered her to find and kill Elias Vance, she accepted without question. There was no room for doubt in her mind. Her ship moved like a shadow through space, silent and sleek. When she landed on Ganymede, she disappeared into the thick ice tunnels beneath the surface. She moved carefully, every step measured and precise. Calthera knew Elias was nearby. She could feel it. The research station was old but sturdy. Lights flickered inside, showing signs of life. Elias worked late into the night, surrounded by old machines and glowing screens. He was unaware of the danger closing in. Calthera watched him for hours, hiding behind ice walls and using her advanced sensors to study him. She expected to see fear or weakness, but instead, she saw something strange. A calm strength, a quiet kindness. Elias was fixing an old robot, a small machine designed to explore the moon's surface. His hands were steady, gentle even as he worked. He spoke softly to the robot, as if encouraging it. Then he carefully placed a small patch on the robot's damaged leg. Calthera's curiosity grew. She had never seen a human behave like this before. Most of the galaxy saw humans as unpredictable and dangerous, but Elias, he was different. She stepped closer, careful to stay in the shadows. Suddenly a loud crack echoed through the tunnel. A piece of ice had broken free and was falling toward Elias. Without thinking, Calthera moved fast. She pushed Elias out of the way just in time. The ice crashed behind them, shaking the ground. For a moment they stood in silence. Elias looked at her, wide-eyed, surprised but not afraid. Calthera saw something in his eyes. Trust. She had not expected this. "Who are you?" Elias asked quietly, still catching his breath. Calthera did not answer. Instead, she turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Elias alive. That night, Calthera sat alone in her ship, thinking about what had happened. Her mission was clear: kill Elias Vance. But now she felt doubt for the first time. Was he really the enemy she had been told about? The next day, Elias continued his work, unaware that an assassin was watching him. He sent messages to Earth, warning about the dangers hidden in the Council. He believed that one day someone would listen. Calthera followed him quietly, learning more about his work and his dreams. She saw how he cared for the small creatures that lived in the icy tunnels. She saw how he never gave up, even when the cold and loneliness were hard to bear. Slowly, Calthera began to understand what Elias was fighting for, not just himself, but for all the people who wanted peace and freedom in the galaxy. But Calthera was still an assassin. Her orders were clear. She could not let feelings stop her from completing her mission. That night she prepared to strike. She moved silently through the tunnels, her weapon ready. But when she looked at Elias, sleeping in the small room of the research station, something inside her stopped. He looked peaceful, almost human. Calthera lowered her weapon and stepped back. She did not know what was happening to her. She had never felt this before. The stars outside shone cold and bright, but inside Calthera something new was growing. A small spark of doubt. or maybe hope. The mission was far from over. But Kael'thera was beginning to see that the story was not as simple as she had believed. The days on Ganymede passed slowly, yet every moment was filled with quiet tension. Elias and Kael'thera remained together inside the research station, sharing the small space and limited resources. Though they were supposed to be enemies, they found themselves talking more than fighting. Elias had never met anyone like Kael'thera. Her movements were precise and graceful, her mind sharp and alert. She carried the weight of a lifetime of training and duty, yet there was a flicker of something softer beneath her hard exterior. Kael'thera, too, was surprised by Elias. He was unlike the humans she had been taught to fear. He did not rush or shout. He listened carefully and spoke with honesty. His hope for the future was a quiet fire that refused to die. One morning, Elias was repairing a small drone when Kael'thera sat beside him, watching. The drone was a simple machine, designed to collect ice samples from the moon's surface. "What is this?" she asked, her voice soft but curious. Elias smiled. "A little helper. It helps me study Ganymede's ice and find resources that could support life." Kael'thera reached out to touch the drone carefully. "You care for these machines like they are alive." Elias nodded. "In a way, they are. Everything we create is a part of us." Kael'thera considered this. "In my world, machines are tools for war, nothing more." "Maybe that is why we see the world so differently," Elias said. Their conversations grew deeper. Over time, they talked about their homes, their families, and their dreams. Elias told Kael'thera about Earth, the blue planet full of forests, oceans, and cities. He described the laughter of children and the warmth of the sun on a summer day. Kael'thera listened, fascinated. In her culture, life was often harsh and controlled. The idea of peace and joy was almost foreign. One evening, Elias showed Kael'thera an old book he had saved. The pages were worn and filled with stories of humans facing great challenges and still choosing kindness. Kael'thera read quietly, her eyes bright with wonder. "Your people are brave," she said. "I did not understand before." Elias smiled. "We can be strong and gentle at the same time." But beneath their growing friendship, danger was not far away. The obsidian clade had not forgotten Kael'thera's failure to complete her mission. Messages from the council warned that backup assassins were on their way. One day, Elias noticed Kael'thera's face tense as she stared at a distant signal on the station's monitors. "They are coming," she said quietly. "Soon." Elias placed a hand on her arm. "We will face them together." Kael'thera looked at him, her eyes searching. "Why do you trust me?" Elias smiled gently. "Because I see who you really are, not who they say you should be." They spent the next hours preparing the station for defense. Elias worked on reinforcing the walls and setting up alarms, while Kael'thera trained him in self-defense and stealth. Though Elias was no soldier, he was quick to learn. Kael'thera's instructions were patient but firm. She taught him how to move silently and how to stay calm under pressure. During their training, Kael'thera shared stories of her childhood, of the harsh lessons and strict rules that shaped her. Elias listened with respect, never judging. "You were made to be a weapon," Elias said softly, "but you can choose to be more." Kael'thera looked at him, the conflict clear in her eyes. "I do not know who I am anymore." Elias reached out and took her hand. "Maybe you are not meant to be just one thing." That night, as they watched the stars twinkle through the icy windows, Kael'thera felt something she had never known before: hope. Their quiet moment was broken by the sudden sound of alarms. The backup assassins had arrived. Kael'thera stood, ready, her body tense like a coiled spring. Elias stood beside her, heart pounding but determined. The enemy moved fast, trying to enter the station through hidden tunnels, but Elias and Kael'thera were prepared. Using the traps Elias had set and the stealth moves Kael'thera had taught him, they slowed the attackers' advance. Elias's quick thinking and Kael'thera's skill made them a strong team. The battle was tense but careful. Kelthera used non-lethal methods to disable the intruders, while Elias used technology to confuse their sensors. After hours of struggle, the attackers retreated, unable to break through. Kelthera looked at Elias with respect and gratitude. "You are stronger than I thought." Elias laughed softly. "I had a good teacher." As the station grew quiet again, they both knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was full of challenges, but they would face them together. Kelthera no longer saw Elias as a target. He was a partner, maybe even something more. And Elias knew that this strange alien assassin had changed his life forever. The cold light of Ganymede's distant sun filtered softly through the frosted windows of the research station. Inside, a quiet tension filled the air between Elias and Kelthera, but also a growing trust. Kelthera had spent days beside Elias, watching him work, learning about his mission. But the truth still weighed heavily on her. She had been sent to kill him. The orders were clear, and failure meant danger not only for Elias but for her as well. One evening, as the icy wind howled outside, Kelthera decided she could no longer keep her secret hidden. She stood in the small room where Elias was, repairing a broken scanner, and took a deep breath. "Elias," she said quietly, her voice steady but serious. "There is something you must know." Elias looked up, his eyes curious but calm. "What is it?" Kelthera hesitated, then spoke. "I am the one sent to kill you." The words hung heavy between them. Elias blinked, then smiled gently. "I thought as much." Kelthera was surprised. "You knew?" "Not at first," Elias admitted. "But the signs were there. You are careful, watchful. You could have left long ago." Kelthera lowered her gaze. "My mission is my duty, but after seeing you, I am confused. You are not the enemy I expected." Elias nodded. "I am not, but the Council sees me as a threat because I speak the truth." Kelthera looked up, eyes searching. "What truth?" Elias stood and walked to the window, staring out at the icy surface. "The Galactic Council is corrupt. They use power to control planets, silence voices, and start conflicts for their gain." Kelthera listened, her mind racing. In her world, loyalty was everything. Betrayal was punishable by exile or worse. But Elias spoke with honesty and pain. "I left the Council because I could no longer follow their lies," Elias continued. "Now, they want me dead." Kelthera's heart pounded. For the first time, she saw the man she was sent to kill not as an enemy but as a victim. "I cannot kill you," she said finally. "Not when I understand." Elias smiled softly. "Then you must decide what is more important, your orders or your conscience." Kelthera looked down. "If I disobey, I become a target." Elias stepped closer. "Then we face them together." Suddenly, a loud beep interrupted their moment. The station's security panel flashed a warning, an incoming signal from deep space. Kelthera's eyes narrowed. "Backup is coming. The obsidian clade will not forgive failure." Elias's jaw tightened. "We don't have much time." They worked quickly, preparing for the arrival. Elias strengthened the station's defenses while Kelthera studied the incoming ship's data. When the enemy ship landed, the tension was thick. Kelthera stood tall, ready to protect Elias, the man she was meant to kill. The obsidian clade warriors approached, weapons drawn and faces hidden behind dark helmets. Kelthera stepped forward. "You will not harm him." A leader from the group stepped out. "Kelthera, you have betrayed your mission. Return to us or face judgment." Kelthera's voice was firm. "I choose to protect him. The Council is wrong." A fierce silence followed. Elias felt a surge of respect for Kelthera. She was no longer just an assassin. She was a warrior fighting for what she believed was right. The leader sneered. "Then you both are traitors." The group advanced, but Kelthera moved quickly. Using her training, she disabled their weapons without harm, guiding Elias to safety. The battle was intense but careful. Elias used the station's defenses, activating force fields and alarm systems. Calthera used her speed and agility to outmaneuver the attackers. After a long struggle, the enemy retreated, their ship taking off into the cold stars. Calthera and Elias stood side by side, breathing hard but unbroken. "We survived," Elias said, smiling. Calthera nodded. "Because we stand together." As silence returned, Elias looked at Calthera with deep gratitude. "Thank you for saving me." Calthera smiled softly. "You saved me too, from a life of obedience without question." They sat down, tired but hopeful. "I don't know what the future holds," Elias said, "but I know I am not alone anymore." Calthera reached out, taking his hand. "Neither am I." Outside, the stars continued to shine, cold but bright, a reminder of the vast universe waiting for them. Together, they faced the unknown, not as hunter and target, but as allies, perhaps even something more. The soft hum of machines filled the silence in the research station. Outside, Ganymede's frozen winds howled across the surface, but inside, Elias and Calthera were busy working on a new plan. They both knew that staying on the moon any longer would be dangerous. The obsidian clade had already found them once. They would return, and next time they would bring more force. "We can't hide forever," Elias said as he adjusted a scanner panel. "They'll keep coming." Calthera nodded. "They won't stop until I'm punished and you're silenced." Elias looked at her with calm eyes. "Then we leave. But not just to run. We take your truth and my research with us. We tell others. The galaxy deserves to know." Calthera hesitated. "That will make us targets everywhere." "We already are," Elias replied simply. They spent the next few hours studying star charts and long-range data. Elias had been working on an old transport ship hidden beneath the station, something he had once used to collect samples from the ice fields. It wasn't fast or heavily armed, but it could fly, and that was enough. Calthera inspected the ship with careful eyes. "It's small." "It's all we've got," Elias said. "But I've upgraded the engines. It can jump to deep space, maybe even reach a trade hub in neutral territory." "Will they help us there?" she asked. "Some might," he said, "especially if we show them what we've found." Elias walked to his terminal and opened a file marked Truth Project. Calthera watched as lines of data and images filled the screen. Evidence of council corruption, war plans, hidden operations. Elias had been collecting this for years, risking everything to expose the lies. "This could start a rebellion," she whispered. Elias looked serious. "Or peace." They began loading the ship. Elias packed his data drives, tools, and emergency supplies. Calthera gathered maps and encryption codes she had stolen from the clade. Every step they took brought them closer to danger, but also closer to freedom. As night fell over the icy moon, the stars above seemed brighter than ever. The ship sat ready in the underground hangar, humming with quiet energy. Calthera stood by the hatch. "Are you sure about this?" Elias looked up at her. "I trust you. That's enough." Just as they were about to board, the station's warning alarm echoed through the halls. "They've returned," Calthera said, her voice low. Elias checked the sensors. 3 ships, faster than before. Calthera's mind raced. "They're trying to trap us." Elias looked calm but determined. "Then we outsmart them." He handed Calthera a small device. "This is a decoy beacon. We'll launch it from the North Tower. It'll make them think we're escaping in another direction." Calthera took the device. "You're clever for a scientist." Elias smiled. "I had to learn fast." They split up. Elias ran to the hangar to prepare the final launch sequence, while Calthera slipped through the shadows of the base, placing the beacon in a high location where it would be easily detected. From a distance, the clade ships began to respond. One of them moved toward the beacon, scanning for signs of escape. Calthera returned to the hangar, where Elias had already started the engines. "They're moving," she said. We have maybe 5 minutes. They jumped into the ship and the hatch closed behind them. The ship's thrusters glowed blue, and with a quiet hum it began to rise. Outside, the station was already being surrounded. But the beacon had worked. 2 of the clade ships had changed course, chasing the false signal. As Elias guided the ship upward through the moon's thin atmosphere, Kelthera monitored the radar. "One ship is still tracking us." Elias nodded. "Hold on." He pushed the engines harder than ever before. The ship shook as it reached escape velocity, leaving Ganymede behind. Ice and rock spun below them as the stars above grew closer. The last clade ship followed them, firing tracking probes, but Elias had one final trick. "Releasing decoy pods," he said, pressing a button. Small metallic balls shot out from the back of the ship, releasing false energy signals. The clade ship slowed, trying to scan each pod. "That bought us a minute," Kelthera said. "That's all we need," Elias replied. Moments later, the ship jumped into hyperspace, leaving the moon and the clade far behind. Inside the ship, the lights dimmed to normal as the engines cooled. Kelthera let out a slow breath. "We did it," she said. Elias leaned back. "For now. But we still have a long way to go." Kelthera looked at him, her eyes softer than before. "Where will we go?" "Where people are ready to listen," Elias said. "And where the truth can grow." Kelthera nodded. "Then I will follow." In the silence of deep space, their journey had only just begun. But they were no longer running. They were moving toward something greater, a future they would help build together. The stars stretched endlessly outside the ship's windows. Elias and Kelthera floated through deep space, far from Ganymede, far from the claws of the obsidian clade. But their mission had only just begun. The ship's small cabin was quiet, except for the soft hum of its engine. Elias sat at the communication panel, studying data feeds and adjusting signal strengths. Kelthera stood nearby, arms crossed, her eyes watching the screen with care. "Are we close enough now?" she asked. Elias nodded. "Yes. We've reached the edge of the neutral zone. From here, our message can reach the independent systems, places not under council control." Kelthera looked uncertain. "Will they believe us?" Elias turned to face her. "If we speak clearly and show them proof, some will listen. That's all we need to start." He tapped a few keys, and a recording window opened. Kelthera's reflection appeared next to his in the screen. She noticed how different they looked, human and alien, but how united they felt. "Are you ready?" Elias asked. Kelthera took a deep breath. "Yes," Elias pressed. "Record." "Greetings," he said, his voice calm and steady. "This is Dr. Elias Marin, former scientist of the Galactic Council." Kelthera stepped beside him. "And I am Kelthera, once an elite soldier of the Obsidian Clade." "We come with a warning," Elias continued. "The Council has been hiding the truth. They have started wars not to protect life, but to control it. They silence voices that ask questions. They punish those who speak out. We were enemies once," Kelthera said, "but no longer. We have seen the lies with our own eyes, and now we speak together." Elias nodded. "We ask for help, not just for ourselves, but for all who want peace and freedom. We have proof. We are sending it with this message." He reached over and attached the encrypted files, records of secret missions, stolen data logs, and reports of council actions. "If you hear this," Kelthera said, "know that you are not alone. Stand with truth. Stand with hope." The recording ended. Elias leaned back slowly. "That's it." Kelthera looked at him. "Now what?" "Now, we wait," Elias replied. He uploaded the message into the ship's long-range beacon and activated it. A soft pulse of blue light flashed as the signal shot out into space, moving faster than light, carrying their voices to systems near and far. For the next few hours, they traveled in silence. Kelthera watched the stars, thinking deeply. She had spent most of her life believing in one purpose, Follow orders, protect the clade, complete missions. But now she felt something new inside her, a question that refused to fade. "Do you ever feel afraid?" she asked. Elias looked up from his datapad. "Yes, often. But fear means we still care. It reminds us what we don't want to lose." Kael'thera sat across from him. "I don't know what I'll become after this." Elias smiled gently. "No one does. But that's what makes life interesting." Suddenly the ship's console beeped. A message had come through. Encrypted, but open. Elias opened the signal. It was a voice message, short and clear. "We received your message. You're not alone. Coordinates attached. Come quickly." Kael'thera's eyes widened. Someone answered. Elias checked the origin. "It's from a small outpost in the Lyra Belt. Not a council zone. They're taking a risk just by speaking to us. Should we go?" she asked. "We must," Elias said. "It could be our first ally." He changed course, guiding the ship toward the coordinates. As they flew, Kael'thera stood by the window, thinking. "Do you think more people will believe us?" she asked. "Yes," Elias said. "Truth has a way of spreading, even when people try to hide it." Several hours later, they approached a small moon orbiting a quiet gas giant. A hidden base came into view, built into the rocks. Its lights blinked like a quiet welcome. As they landed, a message came through. "Welcome, friends." Elias and Kael'thera stepped out of the ship into a narrow hallway. A small group stood waiting. 3 humans, 2 aliens, all dressed in simple clothes, not uniforms. One of them, an older woman with silver hair, stepped forward. "We've been waiting for someone like you, brave enough to speak." Elias bowed, his head. "We brought the truth, and we'll help you share it," the woman said. Kael'thera looked around, surprised by the warmth in the air. There were no weapons pointed at them, no threats, only open hands and hopeful eyes. That night, the group sat around a small table, planning the next steps. They spoke of creating a wider signal, reaching more systems, of gathering more voices, of starting something that could not be stopped. Kael'thera felt a calm she hadn't known before. Not the stillness of silence, but the peace of purpose. She turned to Elias. "We may have started small, but I believe this will grow." Elias nodded. "And it started because you chose to change." Kael'thera smiled. "Because you showed me I could." Together, under the quiet stars of a distant moon, they began building a future built not on fear, but on truth, courage, and unity. Elias stood on a balcony carved into the rocky moon, base watching the stars slowly shift above the gas giant. The cold air brushed his skin, but his heart felt warm. Somewhere in those distant stars, their message was still traveling, spreading from system to system like a quiet spark in the dark. Behind him, Kael'thera walked up, her soft footsteps barely making a sound. "They've started responding," she said with a smile. "One by one. Quietly but clearly." Elias turned, surprised. "More replies?" She nodded. "At least 10 new signals. Some are small groups, others are old allies of yours, hidden for years. They're ready to speak." A wave of relief passed through Elias. Then the truth is growing. The small group on the moon base had worked hard. With Kael'thera's knowledge of military systems and Elias's data on the Council's corruption, they had built a secure network of communication. From trade stations to research colonies, their message was reaching open minds. But the Council had also heard it. Elias knew they wouldn't remain silent for long. "We don't have much time," he said quietly. "They'll try to shut it all down." Kael'thera leaned on the railing beside him. "Let them try. This time we are not alone." Over the next few days, the base became alive with movement. New allies arrived, some in broken ships, others with only data cores and messages. They came from different species, different planets, but shared one goal: to build something better. Kael'thera trained young volunteers in self-defense. Elias helped others repair old transmitters and decode signals. For the first time in a long while, Both of them felt hope. One evening, as they gathered in the base's central hall, an urgent signal arrived. A young woman from the outer colony called out, "Incoming broadcast from the council." Everyone turned toward the main screen. The image that appeared was cold and official. A high-ranking council officer, dressed in perfect uniform, stared into the camera. "This message is for those who have chosen to follow traitors. You are warned. The council does not tolerate rebellion, return to order, or face consequences." Then the screen turned black. Silence filled the room. Kael'thera stepped forward. "It has begun." Elias nodded. "They're afraid." The group looked around, unsure, but Elias raised his voice. "We knew this would come, but fear is not the end. It's the beginning of courage. If we give up now, everything we've built will fade." Kael'thera stepped beside him. "Let them come. We do not hide. We show them that unity is stronger than control." The people stood taller after that. No one ran. They worked harder, sending out more messages, gathering more support. Even in the face of threats, their belief only grew stronger. Days passed. Then from deep space, a large signal arrived, different from any before. It was a call for alliance. From a well-known independent planet called Sirion, known for its peaceful leadership and advanced tech. The message was simple but powerful. "We've seen your message. We stand with truth. Send your representatives. Let's speak face to face." Elias smiled. "This is what we've been waiting for." Kael'thera added, "If we build this alliance, others will follow." They boarded their ship once again, this time not as fugitives, but as envoys of change. As they landed on Sirion, they saw large towers surrounded by green trees and blue skies. It was peaceful, calm, and filled with curious eyes. Leaders from many systems gathered in a quiet hall, waiting to hear the voices of those who had dared to speak first. Elias stepped forward, heart steady. "We are not here to fight," he said. "We are here to unite. The council wants silence. We offer honesty. They offer control. We offer freedom." Kael'thera spoke next. "I once followed their path. I believed in fear. But Elias showed me something stronger, truth. And now I ask you, will you stand with it?" The hall was quiet. Then slowly, one by one, leaders stood. Not with applause or loud words, but with calm agreement. A new alliance was forming, not with power but with purpose. Later that night, Elias and Kael'thera stood beneath Sirion's sky. "We did it," she whispered. "No," Elias said. "We started it. What comes next is up to everyone." Kael'thera looked at him with a soft smile. "I never thought I'd believe in something like this." He turned to her. "And I never thought I'd trust someone who once came to end my life." She laughed quietly. Strange how the stars bring people together. As they stood there, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. Not just lights in the dark, but promises of something more. Peace was not yet won. The council would still try to stop them. But now, truth had a voice. And that voice would only grow louder. In the end, it wasn't a weapon or a battle that changed the galaxy. It was a message, spoken by two unlikely souls. Together,